So I goofed off with you to start the game with you and Corey and Derek.
You were not wrong.
And just because the Rams playoff game in 2018, standing next to you, they run for 10 yards and I say this game's over. And I'm being sarcastic, but it ended up being that they couldn't ever stop LA from running the ball that day. And so as that drive was happening, the first drive of the game, what did I think I tweeted you or texted you guys, it's over.
Yep.
And then I don't know, 30 minutes later I go, not sarcastic anymore. I think this game is over.
Yeah, and so we're going to start with, unfortunately, I could play you any number of different highlights. Let's just start with number one. And my question for everybody to start, and I'm not meaning this in a hyperbolic way. I honestly want to know, because maybe I'm just off base. There's a variety of factors that have led me to this answer. Was this the most embarrassing Cowboys playoff game in franchise history?
3rd and 1 at the 3. Jones is back at running back, and on 3rd down, Love is in the gun. They'll hand it inside to Jones. Close for a first down, close to the goal line, touchdown. Aaron Jones.
I say yes, because you got blown out at home as the 2 seed over a team that snuck in. Obviously, there's only been 3 years of a 7 seed, but I mean, they got blown out. And I do think of, okay, let me remember other games. And if I'm remembering correctly, I remember Brett Favre with Minnesota blew us out. But we were on the road, kind of, I can't remember the line or anything, but you knew going into that it would be a major upset if you won. You were kind of the Packers yesterday going into Dallas. So getting blown out at home, being undefeated at home, playing a guy in his first year in a playoff game, and by halftime, Jimmy Johnson is giving speeches on don't quit.
Yeah.
Like you can fight back and have a chance, but you got to come out of the gates on fire. And it took the Cowboys 6 minutes to get 3 points. That wasn't really on fire. And the defense was like, we really didn't want to come out after halftime. Let's just give them another 7. It was embarrassing is probably not a strong enough word. I'll use this word. How about disgusting? Is disgusting a good word for what we saw yesterday?
Yeah.
Uninspiring, disgusting, embarrassing.
Right.
Like, I don't know. You can put a word on it that isn't a cuss word, I guess.
No, I think that is probably accurate. The one that I tried, I was trying to come up with worse ones, and I thought about the 2007 divisional round where you lost to a Giants team that you had already beaten twice and you were the number 1 seed. But at least then, like, you have a drop in the end zone. It's a back and forth. You got your ass kicked in this game.
Yeah.
And I realize the final score forever is going to say 48-32. That game was 48-16. You know, you were down by 27 points in the first half and 32 points in the second half. That game was a straight up destruction. You were losing 27-0 to a number 7 seed that no number 7 seed had ever advanced. Now, I realize you're still 3 years into this experiment, but so it's early on. And I'm sure down the road, more 7 seeds will win. You were a touchdown favorite. Some books kicked it up to 7.5. You were a huge favorite against a rookie quarterback. It was not an easy path, clearly, but it was a clear path to the NFC Championship game, and you just got destroyed.
I think this, after the 07 loss, because I think that's the contender, in at least in our lifetime. Obviously, I don't think, Roger didn't lose a lot of playoff games. Don Meredith didn't lose a lot of playoff games. There's obviously heartbreaking ones in 81, if I have the year right, when Montana to Clark happens. I get there's maybe more heartbreaking losses, or losing in the Super Bowls, probably more heartbreaking. But
agreed.
This one was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know any better, and I did, text you guys this, I said, say it ain't so, Joe Lamb. Like, you would, if you go back and watch that game, and I know they didn't do this, you would think they might have been intentionally losing. Like, that's how bad they played compared to what you saw for most of the season. And you're like, dude, is this the Chicago Black Sox? Like, of 1919? And I know it wasn't. I know they didn't take any money. I know they didn't intentionally lose. But that's how bad it looked in the first quarter of the game. In fact, I was joking. I was like, maybe they got it figured out. Maybe they told Dak we're wearing white instead of green today. And he'll get it going in the second quarter. And he forgot still until about the fourth quarter that the Cowboys were wearing white jerseys.
From the 972, no reason to get up our hopes again ever, because it's like the sunrise. We know it's eventually coming. Look, we're probably not supposed to do this. Hell, I'm probably not supposed to say this, but I'm going to try to be as honest as I can today without swearing. I wasn't kidding yesterday when I tweeted out, I'm not worried about the weather. I wanted to know if I could call in disgusted today. Is when we get to training camp, I realize it's a dream and it's super cool to be at training camp. I'm not disrespecting the opportunity I have to go to an NFL training camp, but inside, I'm going to be like, what are they going to say? What are they going to do, the Cowboys, that's going to make a difference? You know, like assuming, and this might be a big assumption, but let's say Dak is back or Dak and McCarthy is back. Like, what is going to happen that you're going to be like, this time it's different? Because I want to desperately believe that, but I just don't know what they're going to say or what they're going to do, barring a shocking change that's going to make me be like, you know what? I get it this time different.
Yeah, there's nothing. Dak's going to be the quarterback for whatever, the next 5 to 10 years. Probably not 10. But
can I tell you?
Go ahead.
We'll talk about this more tomorrow.
Right.
I don't know if I believe that anymore.
Okay. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just saying, to your point.
Logically, I could see.
I tweeted this out. He can throw for 10,000 yards and 60 touchdowns and go 17-0 next year. And would anybody believe he's actually going to play well in the playoffs? Like, why would you believe? There's nothing Dak can do in 17 games next year to make me believe, and I think most Cowboy fans or the other team, like it or not, at this point, being a former professional player, if you play a guy or a team, nothing gets like Clayton Kershaw. I want Clayton Kershaw to be a Ranger. But there is a confidence going in a little bit against Clayton Kershaw that no matter how good he was in the regular season, he doesn't pitch his best in October.
Yeah.
No matter how Dak destroyed you in the regular season, no matter how great Dak was, no matter if he wins the MVP in 2024, no matter what, that other team playing, the Cowboys are going, we're playing against playoff Dak. And we know playoff Dak is a below-average quarterback. He can't beat Jimmy Garoppolo. He can't beat Jordan Love. In fact, he can't even compete with Jordan Love. He struggles in every situation. He will struggle. As long as it's a do-or-die game, Dak will struggle 90% of the time. So we're not going up against regular season Dak. Playoff Dak is pathetic, and we got playoff Dak. So the other team builds confidence. Now, if you're on the Cowboy side, the demons will now be there, and it'll be no matter what they do next year, just barely sneak into the playoffs or they're great going into the playoffs. They're going to have the demon in their head that it's a new time. Everybody's 0-0, do or die, and we die in these situations.
Yeah, and I've seen some people send this stat in. I was looking at it. I thought the Cowboys had won 3 playoff games at AT&T Stadium, not 2. But the point is, AT&T Stadium's been open for 15 years, and I now believe that the Cowboys and Packers have won the same amount of postseason games on that field. The Packers don't play here, in case you didn't know that. And that, when you throw in the Super Bowl, that is astonishing. And from the 214, and we're going to get to this in just a minute, I believe the only thing that would give me hope is Belichick or Harbaugh. And for some people, that change will do the trick, right? And that's why I honestly think that Mike McCarthy is going to be gone, is because I think it was on the Fox postgame when Bobby and others were surrounding Jerry Jones, and they said, it's just different than a normal football team. And I believe the phrase circus was used. And if that's the case, I will tell you this, the Jones family knows very well how to try to keep the media interest. And if you're like, hey, you just lost again, what can we do to keep the media interest? They might not want to fire Mike McCarthy. They might see apathy swooping in, and they're like, hey, I'd rather make a football decision I don't agree with than deal with apathy. Yeah. That's problematic. Every part of me believes that they would make a decision to fight off franchise apathy, then say, well, this is the right decision for the team.
I'm 100% with you. I'm right with you on your thinking. Oxnard will be the most meaningless, worthless thing in the world if you have Dak Prescott as your quarterback and Mike McCarthy as your head coach. And I'm not saying that's right, but whoever it is, Clarence Hill, John Machota, everybody there, all of the four major channels here, all of their what do you ask Mike McCarthy? What do you ask Jerry Jones? What do you ask Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Hey, you getting ready for preseason? What do you think about, you guys going to be ready for week? Nobody cares. You're going to have the most 17 meaningless games in the Cowboys history leading up to, did you make the playoffs? And this is all we care about now because we know your quarterback's going to crap his pants in these situations. And we have seen your coach not coach his best in these situations. So it's going to be, who cares? And I think Jerry Jones and Steven and Will McClay will look at it and go, crap. Even though Mike McCarthy has won 12 games each year and given us a chance, and he might be better than who we're hiring, but we just have to change it because there's not going to be one media member interested in covering the Dallas Cowboys.
For the 469, fear not. We have plenty of time for blame today. Why are we not hearing enough blame on the mighty Dan Quinn defense last night?
Pathetic.
I agree. They were bad. And maybe we should do a segment where, what's your hierarchy of blame? And if your number one is just everybody, I understand all of that. I did not put the defense on my top line of blame, but they're high up there.
Right.
Maybe they're second. I don't know, but they are high up there for sure.
I'm with you. It was to start the game. I know I was being sarcastic, but everything that you were concerned about going into the game, going, if Green Bay is able to accomplish this, and on that first drive, they literally accomplished everything that you were fearful of.
Yep.
Third and longs didn't matter. In fact, the first ball that Jordan Love passes, if you go back and watch the game, I know most Cowboy fans don't want to, but this morning when I did,
I don't
the
either.
first passing play that Green Bay runs, the right defensive end, I'm sorry, I don't remember who was playing right defensive end at the time. It wasn't Micah Parsons. And the right defensive tackle, they are standing up and they are talking to each other about what they're supposed to do or the adjustment they're supposed to make. The ball's already been snapped. So literally, of the four guys that are supposed to make this pass tough on Jordan Love, two of them are talking to each other, trying to figure out what the adjustment is. It's like, dude, the ball's already snapped. You got to start trying to attack the quarterback. So when he has time for a 25-yard route down the field and it's an easy pass, great pass, but an easy pass, it's like, well, two of the 11 guys on defense weren't ready for the ball to be snapped.
And can I tell you what is crazy about that? Because that's his first pass his first pass attempt that actually counted, right?
Because he got sacked.
Yeah, well, and then there was a penalty.
Yeah.
But the first two plays, I realized, 2 plays, who cares in the grand scheme of things? But the first 2 plays, you stuff Aaron Jones, and then you get a sack. I realized the penalty that negated that, but that was a combination on the first 2 plays, and I was like, fantastic. Stuff the run, got a sack, and then you're like, oh, wait, then there was a penalty, and then you stuff the run again, and I was like, here we go, and then the play that you were talking about. And clearly, those first 3 plays or 2.5 plays, that was the apex of the day.
Yeah, and then they just
everything was down.
They kept moving, even when they got stopped. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 did not affect Green Bay at all. They were just fine. You weren't going to get major pressure, and you were going to have guys. They were as open as Jason Witten's high school offense. I've never seen an NFL team that open. It feels like I've never seen a team that open.